Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into Raider Arena here in Niceville, Florida, where we are set once again to bring you another doubleheader, college men's and women's basketball on the way as the Northwest Florida State College Raiders host the Indians of Chipola College. I am Rob Brown, Jeff McDonald here on color commentary for the next handful of hours, and it's sophomore night here, Jeff McDonald, which for Northwest Florida State typically means a send-off of some big-name players who have played major roles on both teams, and we're going to say goodbye to a couple of folks who have become really big pieces on both of these two teams this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some great young ladies that unfortunately we'll be saying goodbye to at the end of this season that we're certainly going to miss, but great night, great opportunity to honor those young ladies here at Raider Arena.
Northwest Florida State College, the women's side, 7-3, 21-3 overall. They are on top of the Panhandle Conference. A win tonight does not clinch the conference as they are in a dogfight with Gulf Coast State College, also 7-3. But Gulf Coast 1-2 against the Raiders, have beat the Raiders 2 of the 3 head-to-head. So this is a big matchup tonight as the Raiders have to win out and get a little help if they want to win the conference. That being said, tonight would guarantee them a berth in the state tournament if they get a win. So there is pressure on the Lady Raiders tonight to get a W, and if nothing else, guarantee yourself a postseason appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get, once again, just kind of get back in the groove here. We've got a loss in our last action in our game against Gulf Coast. Great opportunity tonight to get back on track against the number 8 ranked team in the country from Chipola, and hopefully our number 5 ranked nationally Lady Raiders can handle business tonight, and then next week against Tallahassee close out strong, get a great position in the state tournament, and hopefully, like you said, Rob, get some help. Someone knocks off Gulf Coast in these last 2 ball games for them, and we can sit atop the Panhandle Conference rankings as well.
Final home game for the Raiders. There is one more regular season Panhandle Conference game. It is going to be on the 20th of this month. That will be at Tallahassee. So this evening, your last chance to see the Raiders here in Niceville. It's a big matchup, like we mentioned, postseason appearance on the line for the Lady Raiders tonight. Win and you're in, lose, still got to go get business done in Tallahassee, but a little less pressure on the Lady Raiders if they can get this one done this evening. We are just about underway. Again, Rob Brown alongside Jeff McDonald to bring you all the action. RJ Murdoch and the entire cast and crew of Emerald Coast TV bringing this game into your households. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get this thing underway. Jaden McCoy on the jump for the Raiders, but it ends up with Valerie Nesbitt and Chipola to start the game. Chipola working on the left-hand side of the floor. For the first time in the last couple of games, the Lady Raiders will face a squad that has a full complement of players as Jaden McCoy goes straight to the ground along with number 41 Ariel Cummings for Chipola and ends up with possession of the ball for the Raiders. This is the first game in the last couple of home games, Jeff, that the Lady Raiders have faced an actual full complement of players. They've been fortunate, if you can call it that, and going up against some squads the last couple of home games in Pensacola and Tallahassee that have been depleted. Tonight the Raiders will get tested in terms of bench depth.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look across the court here and you see a full set over there for Chipola, it's not going to be like the last 2 home ball games where we had about 2 or 3 folks on the bench for the opposition. So I notice here tonight, Rob, that there's a little bit of a shift in the starting lineup. Looks like we've got CeCe Mayo in place of what would typically be Albatrossi.
CeCe Mayo, the spark plug, traditionally off the bench, but in a starting role tonight. There's Shania Mertens with the ball on the floor alongside Jaden McCoy, Georgia Galen, Leandra Etchie, and there's almost a turnover, but Shania Mertens hustles to get the ball, drives to the inside, finds McCoy through the lane. Nice little pass right through traffic to Jaden McCoy for the layup.
Yeah, great look, great position by Jaden McCoy.
And a big block there. Leandra Etchie rode the hip of Valerie Nesbitt all the way to the basket and forced Nesbitt to throw up a prayer, and number 2 got all ball.
Yeah, great start on the defensive end for Miss Etchie. Nice to see her get rolling early.
Drive to the corner, and the jump shot is up. No good for Cortasia Sanders. Ball comes down out of bounds. That is a turnover, and the Raiders take over possession. Georgia Gale has been a threat the last couple of games, Jeff. We've talked about her. Sometimes it takes her a couple of minutes to get rolling, but she knocks down one or two shots, and she becomes a big threat. We'll keep an eye on number 1 for the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get her off to a quick start, get her a few open looks, let her knock one down, and open things up for the rest of the Lady Raiders.
Leandra Etchie goes with the left-handed jumper. It won't go. Cece Mayo gets the board, but she can't find the bottom of the can. And that's going to give the ball back to Chipola. To the corner, and pass across the lane is taken away. Leandra Etchie read that beautifully, jumped in the middle. Here's Shania Mertens. Mertens versus a defender and gets it off the glass. Tough shot across her body to kiss it off the glass.
Yeah, Raiders starting off with a very great defense here. It's going to help us as we get into our transition, and the Lady Raiders, when they can get started in transition, those mean some quick, easy buckets.
Inside pass, Jaden McCoy is on the defense against Ariel Cummings down low. Cummings back out to the three-point line in the corner, and Chipola will reset up top. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and a desperation layup is up and good off the back of the glass for Cortasia Sanders.
Yeah, great shot. Driving to the left, fading to the left, kissing it off the glass.
Shania Mertens gets the ball from Cece Mayo and resets. Mayo flashes across the lane, but no room for a pass, and so Mertens pulls it back out to Etchie to reset. Etchie's looking for Mayo and finds her on the inside. Beautiful pass from Leandra Etchie. Cece Mayo found the open lane, went right to the glass, and was wide open. Nice execution.
Again, that's one of the things you love about Cece Mayo. Very active, always moving, flashing to the basket, getting herself open. Great movement, great shot.
Travel called against Cortasia Sanders. Moving without the basketball is something, and Jeff, you and I have played for a long time. We've both coached as well. Telling kids to move off the basketball is something that it gets lost with a lot of players. They find themselves looking at the ball, trying to get themselves open. I don't know that there's a better player on the men's or women's team at moving without the basketball and creating opportunities than Cece Mayo.
Nah, she's great. You saw her setting a great screen right there. And that's something that our ladies do very well, too, is the screen and roll or playing off the screen. You watch college ball today, high school ball, just about at any level. The screens you see set today are not very solid screens. They're not great screens. These ladies do a fantastic job of screens, and our ladies do a great job playing off the screen. So that's a great part of our game that helps us get easy buckets.
4 foul on Cortasia Sanders is going to reset the clock. There's Shania Mertens on the drive. It won't go. Awatrasi with the rebound. She can't find the glass. And a tough putback there. Awatrasi checked in during that last time out on the foul. Trossi comes in, gets an offensive rebound, but can't finish. And it'll turn the ball over to the Indians.
Awatrasi's out here with a fresh look.
She is. Got the new style looking.
How about that?
I like it. It's a good look.
You know, Rob, I've heard from both the men and the ladies out here that they do use our broadcast, to review the film, and they seem to enjoy a little bit of our back and forth. So
you'll notice Jeff being much nicer in the broadcast tonight. 6:09 left on the clock here in the first quarter.
Last thing I need is a crew of these Lady Raiders coming after me.
Shot no good for Nesbitt, but she'll end up with the rebound and a fresh shot clock for the Indians. Back up to the top to reset the offense. Awatrasi down low on the defense. Georgia Gale, Leandra Etchie, Cece Mayo, Shania Mertens all in as Nesbitt launches a long two-pointer, and it's good.
Yeah, nice little stop and pop.
Etchie working up top over to Mertens, almost picked off, but Mertens with a hustle play to get the ball back. Trossi inside to Etchie. Etchie is going to be fouled. She was being trailed by a defender and had to go up with a strong left-hander to keep the ball away from the defender who was on her back right hip, but ends up taking the contact, and Leandra Etchie will be the first Raider to go to the strike.
Yeah, absolutely. Notice so far, Chipola's doing a fantastic job of keeping the ball away from Georgia Gale.
Etchie's first effort is no good, and anyone who's watched any game film the last couple of weeks knows that number one is a threat. If she starts getting looks and she starts getting hot, Georgia Gale becomes an absolute sniper.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can obviously tell it's part of their game plan to stick tight on Georgia Gale, keep the ball away from her, and make the other Lady Raiders step their game up.
Nesbitt will work the ball around the three-point line, back up to the top. A couple of give-and-goes. Nesbitt gets up and one-on-one situation with Etchie, drives right into Leandra Etchie, and number 2 is going to be called with her first foul of the evening. It is a floor foul. She just got a little bit caught. Nesbitt put her head down coming off of a screen. That's been a situation where Nesbitt's passed the ball. That time she takes it one-on-one and caught Etchie out of position. And a quick turnover there as the ball just slips out of Valerie Nesbitt's hands. I'm not saying ball don't lie, Jeff McDonald, but there's some smiling faces on the Lady Raider bench after that quick turnover.
Yeah, it looked like one of our ladies may have gotten a hand on the ball while still out of bounds. Maybe knocked it loose, but it's hard to tell.
Georgia Gale goes up strong in the paint and takes some contact. Mayo found Trossi over in the corner. Trossi had a look at the basket, but saw that Georgia Gale was one-on-one with the defender on her back hip, tossed the bounce pass, and Georgia Gale is to the stripe, does not make the first one.
Yeah, let's get this one knocked down and see if we can't get Georgia Gale going here.
Second free throw is good. Just inside of 5 minutes left to play here in the first quarter. It's 8-4 Lady Raiders. Drop to the basket. Cece Mayo in great defensive position to prevent Cortasia Sanders from having any space, and that's going to be a foul called against Awa Trossi. Ball got tossed to the inside to the post player at the free throw line.
Yeah, just commenting on Cece Mayo's defense. You'll notice she does just a fantastic job of moving her feet, and not getting her hands involved.
Ball thrown into the backcourt on the inbound after a stifling Lady Raider defense. That's Blessing Iafor, a 6'5" sophomore for Chipola on the inside. Jaden McCoy checking back into the game now to play defense on Blessing Iafor, who is the tallest player on the Indian roster. Long two-point effort, book it, it's good. That's Lyric Turner with the long-range deuce. And last time we saw Chipola play here at Raider Arena, Lyric Turner had a big night. She was hot from all over the floor. You do not want to let her get comfortable looking at shots like that, even if they are just long twos. CC Mayo from Jaden McCoy, but Mayo can't find the right angle. She's 0 for 2 to start.
Yeah, so far we're having a little trouble finishing inside there. Doing a great job of getting the ball to the basket, but just not doing a great job of finishing so far.
Valerie Nesbitt called on the travel. She drove right into the heart of the Lady Raider defense. It collapsed on her, and she had nowhere to go. The momentum carried her through to a travel call. CC Mayo will head to the bench. Alva Trossi's going to check back in. So now Trossi and Jaden McCoy, 2 of the 3 tallest players on the roster, coming in there to do combat with Cortasia Sanders and Blessing Iafor, the 2 tallest players on the Indian roster. There's Shania Mertens for 3, but it won't go. Rebounded Nesbitt. Nesbitt's going to try to lead the fast break. She'll hit the spin move, kicks it out to Sanders. Sanders with the jumper. It's all strings for Cortasia Sanders. And we're squared up at 8 apiece.
Yeah, great job of penetrating deep and recognizing there's nothing there, kicking it back out to the open shooter.
3:15 on the clock. Mertens, Trossi, Gale, McCoy, and Etchie all on, and Georgia Gale going to be called with the travel over on the far side, looking on the inside for either McCoy or Trossi, who were setting screens for each other, but took just a second too long to spring open, and Georgia Gale's momentum was already headed into the interior of the defense, and she gets picked up for the travel. Nesbitt over to Turner, and that's D'Amico Adams now joining them in the backcourt. And the ball's going to hit the stripe closest to us and go out of bounds. Another turnover for the Indians. That is their 5th turnover so far. Only 1 turnover for Northwest Florida State.
Yeah, the difference in the game right now, Rob, for looking at the stat sheet, 50% from the floor for Chipola, They haven't gotten quite the opportunities we've had at the basket, but only 30% right now for our Lady Raiders. So we got to do a better job of knocking down those shots inside the paint. We've had a hard time so far in this game.
Georgia Gale caught in the trap, looks all the way across to Gabriella Sales, but Sales can't get the layup to go. She had a look at the basket, but that Indian defense swarmed her all the way to the inside, the up and under reverse, but no good for Cortasia Sanders, and Trussie ends up with the rebound. We'll come back the other way with the Raiders and fans.
Yeah, great job getting to the basket there, but that's where you got to get a left hand involved. That's a tough reverse layup with the right hand on the left side. So you want to get that left hand up, use the left hand on that reverse layup.
Mertens is going to drive and get a charge. No, it's going to be a blocking called underneath. Looked like the official was initially going to call that offensive, and she went straight into Lyric Turner, but Turner still sliding underneath the basket. According to the official, that's going to be a blocking foul, and we'll head to the stripe for another couple.
Yeah, it looked like she didn't just quite get her feet set, Rob. She was outside of the arc where she needed to be. She just didn't quite have the feet set.
Mertens misses the first free throw. The Lady Raiders 2 of 5 from the line to start. So here's Mertens' second opportunity. That one is good. 3 of 6, missed all 3 of the front end opportunities.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get up there and we're in a little too much of a hurry to shoot that free throw. You know, I've always believed in a process at the free throw line. Kind of have that process you go through where you take your time, couple dribbles, bend the knees, then up with a shot.
Foul called on Blessing Iafor. The pass went over the head of the Indian guard after Valerie Nesbitt lost her momentum, had a couple of Raiders jump the passing lane. And Iafor in a scramble for the ball gets called on the floor foul. It's another turnover. Trussie back in the game alongside Shania Mertens, Georgia Gale. Anastasia Zakharova has now joined the lineup, as has Jaden McCoy. Pass over to Gale. Gale looking for Trussie on the inside, and that's an easy call against Cortasia Sanders. Sanders was all over the back of Trussie. Trussie had her in a beautiful sealed-off position with that arm wrapped around, and there was nothing Sanders could do but go right over the top of Trussie.
Sometimes when you're watching these games, you miss a lot of the little things, Rob. And if you notice right there, great job between Iowa and Georgia right there. Just Iowa setting a back screen, allowing Georgia to pop out wide open. But then she does a great job, Trussie does, of sealing her man behind her, making herself available for a pass on the post. So getting the foul and at the line. And once again, missing the front end of 2 shots.
Trussie, a sophomore from Toulouse, France, 6'2" forward. Second one is good. The streak continues.
Just go up and pretend like you're shooting the back end. Let's see what that does for you. It's all mental. It's
1.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Inside pass not thrown by Ana Carolina Bernardo from Sao Paulo, Brazil for that Chipola international flair. There's the long jumper from Nesbitt. Rotating left to right almost like it was in orbit. It won't go. Finds its way back, and it's going to be a blocking call against Jaden McCoy underneath the basket.
Yeah, that's the situation on that last defensive rebound opportunity. You want to see Mertens do a better job of driving her man out of the paint. Put your rear end on someone, knock them out of the paint, let the ball fall flat in front of you.
Three-pointer in and out, no good for Bernardo. Back over to the Raiders. Shania Mertens going to take a look, but will not drive the lane inside of 1 minute left to play in the first quarter. Mertens looking for Georgia Gale, and it's just taken away by Nesbitt. Knocked out of her hand. Nesbitt's going to fake pull out for the 3. Spin move gets Mertens up in the air. Goes around her, but can't get the shot to call. Valerie Nesbitt did everything right there except miss the shot.
Yeah, she did. Great job on defense there. We got to do a better job of protecting the ball on that last possession. Kind of falling asleep a little bit at the wheel at the top of the key.
Zakharova over to Georgia Gale. Buckets, it's good. We told you, keep an eye on Georgia Gale. Her first look at the three-pointer is all strings.
Rob Brown, that was from the 4-point strike.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but 3 times that Georgia Gale got the ball in the last two possessions, and all three times Greg Franklin, the head coach for Chipola, immediately started yelling at his girls, get out, do not let her have a look. Well, they made a mistake that time, and Georgia Gale made them pay. 13-8 Raiders.
The British sniper.
Long-range three-pointer will not go for Lyric Turner, and that will do it for the first quarter of action. A 5-point game. The Raiders up 13-8 over the Indians of Chipola College. 3 of those coming from that long-range Georgia Gale three. She was nearly on the Chipola bench when she knocked that thing down. And we told you, keep an eye on number 1. She's been hot the last few games, and the streak continues, at least so far, Jeff McDonald.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take much time for her to get hot. She knocks down one, and that just gets her rolling. So look for the Lady Raiders to find ways to get Georgia Gale open, get her some more shots from outside the three-point line, and really kind of extend this lead. Did a great job in the second half of that first period extending the lead. They tied it up 8-8, and our Lady Raiders did a better job on defense, better job on the boards, and protecting some of these possessions down here and getting some buckets.
Bit of a struggle from the floor so far, just 33.3% field goal percentage for the Raiders. They are 50% from the three-point line, but that's just 1 of 2 on the evening. Georgia Gale is 1 for 1. Shania Meertens has the other three-point effort, but like we mentioned, 33%, 4 and 12 from the floor. Etchie's 0 for 1, Trossey's 0 for 1, Sales is 0 for 1, McCoy 1 for 2, Cece Mayo's 1 of 3, and Georgia Gale is 1 of 1. So the shooting percentage is going to have to come up if the Raiders want to grow this lead as we head towards halftime. This is another one of those games, Jeff McDonald. We've said this time and time again. You want a big lead at halftime because the beginning of the second half has not been kind to the Lady Raiders.
No, in a perfect world, we would finish strong like we've always talked about the last 3 to 5 minutes of a half, and then open up the first 3 to 5 minutes of the second half on a roll, because that really goes a long way in making a difference in how, we finish the ball game. Just kind of sets the tone, if you will.
Nesbitt finds a way up between 3 Raider defenders. However, it won't go, and the rebound goes back to the offense. Long-range 3, book it. It's good for Valerie Nesbitt from the corner.
Yeah, Hetchy gave her a little bit too much room right there. We got to get a hand in her face. Don't let her get heated up. That'd be a problem.
Goes to the rim and goes down hard, but a travel called on the way. She was leaning into the defender on her back hip, trying to get a call as she went for the shot and ended up losing her footing there. 8 rebounds for the Raiders, 7 for the Indians. The turnover game leaning towards the Raiders. 6 turnovers taken away and just 2 surrendered by the Lady Raiders in the first quarter. Here's Nesbitt against Etchie one-on-one. Ball's going to reset at the top of the offense with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Kick over to Bernardo. She's going to drive, and it's going to be a jump ball as Leandra Etchie anticipated. Anna Carolina Bernardo going to the rack and was able to get a hand on the basketball. Good defense for Etchie.
Yeah, absolutely. Tenacious as ever tonight on the defensive side of the ball. Although that last possession, I really wanted to see her get up in the offensive ball player's face and prevent that three-point shot. But all in all, doing a great job on the defensive end of the floor tonight.
Etchie over to Meertens. Meertens is going to drive to the short corner, whip it around to Gale. No room, so she'll look inside to McCoy. McCoy in a battle down low with Ariel Cummings. Back up to Awatrossi, and we've got a whistle on the backside. So a turnover there for the Raiders with 8:42 showing on the clock. Leandra Etchie immediately started coaching up. One of the things I love watching is number 2. When she gets into a bit of rhythm, you can see her almost serving as Bart Walker's avatar on the court. She's a fantastic floor general, as we're going to have a floor foul called there. It's going to go against Georgia Gale. Inside of 8.5 left to play. Raider lead now back down to just 2. And another foul call. This one's going to be on the floor. This one's going to go against Awatrossi on the backside. Coach Bart Walker walking towards the official and asking exactly how that happened. Trossi didn't move. It looked like the Indian offensive player just ran into number 3. We're going to have a timeout called as Coach Walker wants an explanation on that foul, but he won't get one.
Yeah, they got a little whistle happy on this possession. And you just get a little timeout and get our heads together and try to get better control of what's going on here on the defensive end of the ball.
Full timeout called. 8:27 showing on the clock. Raiders up 2. And again, right now, the field shooting not very well. Both teams exactly at 33.3%. The only difference, one additional three-pointer made for the Raiders. And they are 4 of 8 from the free throw line. 0 free throws surrendered so far by the Raiders, which is something you'd like to see continue as deep into the game as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking up at the scoreboard so far in this quarter, though, 2 quick fouls for the Lady Raiders. Not a good start.
4 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 2 from the arc. They are 4 of 8 from the stripe, like we just mentioned, and 8 rebounds, 3 of those offensive so far. 4 turnovers surrendered, 7 taken away for the Lady Raiders. Also have a couple of blocks and 3 steals to go along with those statistics. So statistics all leaning towards the Raiders right now, but not by all that much, which is why you see only a 2-point lead on the scoreboard so far. Indians on the inbound on their own side of the floor. Kick into the corner and back up to the top will go Shayla Gardner to reset the offense. Gardner's first action of the afternoon. She'll reset the offense one-on-one against CeCe Mayo. Shania Mertens drives in, and it's a 5-second call. CeCe Mayo, with that stifling defense, ends up swarming Shayla Gardner. Gardner in her first action did not see the out and ends up with a 5-second violation.
Actually, Rob, that was a foul there on Chipola's number 12, Anna Carolina Bernardo, on the screen, it looked like.
Etchie called for the carry. That's the first time we've seen her get called for that, as far as I can recall, all season long, I believe.
Yeah, typically a pretty solid ball handler. But you could almost call a carry on every possession if you look for it close enough. Rob, I don't know if you've noticed one of these new trends that we're seeing here in the high school and college game. Not so sure about the professional game when we're talking about the uniform fashion. You notice these players rolling the shorts up at the hip. What's that about?
I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a couple of players at the D1 college level on the men's game that I've noticed. There's one playing for LSU, one playing for Florida State. I think Florida's got one. There's a handful of the players, J-Mac, that are bringing back the old 80s tall short shorts. They're bringing back the old school shorts.
That ended when I was an 8th grader.
1962, I believe.
Watch your mouth. 1991. 8th grader at Pryor Middle School. You know, we worked hard to overcome the short shorts for the game.
For the benefit of the audience.
That's right, audience and players alike. It's not very comfortable, yet here we see them rolling the shorts up. I don't understand it. Now you see some of the ladies are actually tucking the bottom of their shorts into their tights that they typically, you know, the Under Armour type tights that they wear underneath their shorts. I don't understand it.
Jaden McCoy drives, but the foul called on the floor against Anna Carolina Bernardo before McCoy got the shot up, so that is a floor foul.
But I'm sure the folks out there are very interested what we think about uniform fashion in today's game.
You act like it's not something we've brought up every game so far, J-Mac.
Well, we haven't mentioned the shorts, though. Not the rolling up at the waist, the tucking into the tights.
CeCe Mayo's jumper won't go, and that is a blown defense, but the jumper is no good. However, back to Blessing Iafor for the offensive rebound for the Indians. They've got a handful of those so far in this game. The Indians have not hurt for second chance opportunities.
Well, I mean, we're pretty even in the rebound game right now with 8 to 10, but we do have to do a better job of locking out down here on the defensive end.
Valerie Nesbitt with a nice spin move and gets the one-hand jumper to go, but answered on the other side. Shania Mertens draws the defense over and gives a nice little dish to Jaden McCoy for the layup. Good court vision from Shania Mertens, and she is underrated. We've talked about her a number of times in the way she sees the floor, but when she gets penetration, she can draw the defense in her direction as Nesbitt shots no good, and Mayo rebounds. When she draws the defense that way, she has gotten a handful of those quick little underneath assists as the ball is thrown inside to Jaden McCoy. McCoy is going to be fouled by Iafor on the floor without being able to gain the basketball, but it'll stay with the Raiders. Substitutions taking place now. Etchy's going to check back in. Blessing Iafor will head to the bench for Chipola, so a smaller lineup now on the floor for the Indians as Etchy's looking for the inbound. She'll get it to McCoy. McCoy hands it right back, and Etchy will dribble it back up to the top of the key to reset the offense. Looking inside to McCoy. McCoy fouled again. That has worked 3 or 4 different times. This time it is Ariel Cummings underneath. That is about the 3rd possession in a row where the Raiders have gotten the defender on Jaden McCoy's hip, just threw a pass in the air, and McCoy's drawing the foul before she even gets the ball. Puts her in bonus this time, and she'll head for the 1-and-1.
Yeah, McCoy does such a great job of getting position down in the post. It's tough for a defender to get around, and then when they do get around, there's typically a foul involved.
McCoy misses the front end. Gets a second opportunity here. And that foul was called a shooting foul as McCoy had turned towards the basket. McCoy misses both of her free throws, but it's rebounded by Mayo up to Zakharova. He'll reset the offense with Etchy. Etchy over to Zakharova. Shania Mertens looking for space. Zakharova's going to drive, and Nesbitt just takes the ball right out of her hand. She's going to go coast to coast, go up, through, and around Shania Mertens, but she can't get the layup to go. That has happened 2 or 3 times now to Valerie Nesbitt, where she gets a clean steal, goes coast to coast, and then just misses the layup.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, that Nesbitt is a gamer. She's missed a couple on the fast break, breakaway layups. Under pressure, but still such a great job from one end to the other.
Shania Mertens with a little stop and pop from the free throw line extended, grows the lead back to 4 for the Lady Raiders. Nesbitt looking for some help from Ariel Cummings, who comes up and sets the pick. Nesbitt drives, nothing available, so she'll reset back over into the corner. Goes back to Nesbitt. Nesbitt launches the 3, no good. Off to the right, but the offensive rebound and the putback also no good. There's Etchy for the rebound as Lyric Turner could not connect. Just over 5 minutes left to go in the first half as the foul is going to be called. It is going to be a blocking foul on the offense. So we'll have a substitution. Georgia Gale is going to check in. That is the 2nd foul against Leandra Etchy. And so Gale will replace her.
Yeah, all in all, Rob, this has just been a great defensive first half at both ends of the floor for the Lady Indians and the Lady Raiders, making it tough on both ends to get good looks at the basket.
Ordinarily, the score a little bit higher than this at this point in the game, and almost every home game we've called so far, but you're absolutely right, Jeff. Defensive tenacity from both teams has kept that score down. As a long-range 3 goes up, it's off iron, rebounded by Cummings. She's going to fight up and get the ball to go. She slammed into Jaden McCoy. McCoy has got the wind knocked out of her, and Jaden McCoy is still having a hard time catching her breath over on the baseline. Coach Bart Walker is coming out onto the floor. He wanted a call after the shoulder went right into the chest of Jaden McCoy. McCoy getting some help over in the bench, elevating her arms, trying to get that oxygen back into her lungs. Coach Walker is furious. He just had a couple of obscenities for the official that are not FCC compliant. Can't repeat the quote from Coach Walker, but no foul called, and Jaden McCoy is having to catch a breather over in the corner. Some hard physical contact underneath the basket.
Yeah, that's a tough one to call. I mean, they're inside, right under the basket, good pump fake, and she did come in to Jaden McCoy, but that's one that you're not always going to see called. I agree, it could have been called, but for the most part, you're not going to see that one down inside the paint. But yeah, I did see that shoulder just get right into her diaphragm, knock the wind out of her immediately. You could see she was in pain. So you know, we're just going to have to get tough under there. Do it. Once again, you saw it was another second chance bucket. Ball goes up. Everybody just looks at the ball and comes off the rim, and they just go up for a rebound. We got to do a better job on the defensive end, Rob, of getting a body on someone, getting your rear end in someone's lap and driving them out of the paint. Got to do a better job blocking out.
Ariel Cummings, a 6'3 sophomore for the Chipola Indians, and an absolute wrecking ball down underneath. And she and Jaden McCoy are similar size, similar body structure. Jaden McCoy maybe a couple inches taller than Ariel Cummings, but those two have been in a fight every time they found themselves in the same part of the floor. That time McCoy got the worst of it, but she stays in the game. Number 24 will stay on the floor to an ovation from the Raider faithful here at Raider Arena.
Yeah, Jaden's a tough young lady. I didn't expect her to go down easily.
The Lady Raiders ended the first quarter with only 1 turnover, 6 turnovers so far in the second quarter alone.
Wow.
There's Georgia Gale, and it's going to be a blocking call, I believe. Yep, right through the middle of Jaden McCoy's chest. That was number 22 for the Indians, Blessing Iafor. McCoy set a beautiful screen right at the top. Iafor just slammed right into her. That's going to be the 4th foul against Iafor already, and that's a big blow to Chipola because she provides one of only 2 players on the roster who's above 6 feet for the Indians, and they are going to lose her likely until late in the ball game unless they get desperate.
Yeah, Rob, she was kind of hitting like one of those linebackers you're seeing in the AAF on Saturday and Sunday the last couple of weeks.
Got to say, I'm kind of liking the AAF, Jeff McDonald. That's some folks out there trying to make a name for themselves as McCoy knocks down another deuce.
You know, being a guy who's originally from Birmingham, I'm enjoying it. Got the Birmingham Iron. They played their second ball game today, won 12-9 over
2-0.
Salt Lake. Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. Got a guy named Trent Richardson who's from right down the road in Pensacola trying to get his career back on track with the Birmingham Iron, and you know, another decent game out of him today. So hopefully he can get himself going and get another shot in the league.
4 minutes left to play. Shania Mertens brings the ball up. There's Jaden McCoy over to Zakharova. Zakharova looking over for Georgia Gale and finds her. Gale with the inside bounce pass to McCoy. McCoy's one-on-one with Ariel Cummings. The ball nearly stripped out of her hands, and that's going to be a foul called against Shayla Gardner. Got her on the hand. Knocked the ball away from Jaden McCoy, but caught some skin in the process. And head coach Greg Franklin for the Indians not thrilled with that call. These games so far, Jeff McDonald, I think have been really well officiated all year long. These teams got a little chippy for a minute there after Jaden McCoy got the wind knocked out of her a minute ago, and now it looks like the officials might be putting in a little extra work to try to maintain composure here at Raider Arena.
Yeah, it looks like we got a technical foul. It's going to be called on head coach from Chipola, Mr. Greg Franklin. Not too pleased with that last foul call.
Franklin's been in the officials' ear, and for what it's worth, so is Coach Walker. Both coaches have really been tugging at the ear of the officials all game long, unhappy with a couple of calls of both ways. Obviously, Coach Walker was very upset with the chest bump into Jaden McCoy that knocked her out of the game. There are a couple of floor fouls over here that Coach Walker was tugging on the ear of the officials. Over on the other side, Coach Franklin for the Indians doing the exact same thing, that time just a little carried away. And I would think, Jeff McDonald, that may have just been a little bit of a message probably to both coaches that we don't want to see you out on the floor anymore tonight.
Yeah, got to calm the coaches down, but at the same time, they got to do a better job of keeping things clean inside the paint. So, of course, you're going to have some emotions get involved when you allow some of that rough play inside there. So maybe that will do the trick. Unfortunately, Georgia Gale goes up and knocks down both of those free throws for the technical foul. And then Jaden McCoy knocking down once again the back end of a 2-shot foul. So
approaching 3.5 minutes left to go in the first half, and Cece Mayo grabs Nesbitt by the waist as she runs right by her. Mayo was just not in position in the full court press. Mayo ended up grabbing Nesbitt as she ran by. It was before the shot, so it is a floor foul as Nesbitt knocked down a long three-point effort afterwards, but it's a floor foul first. Here's the inbound. Lyric Turner running through the lane but can't get it to go, and Zakharova with the rebound.
Yeah, she tucked that one and put her head down like she was on a mission.
Very James Harden-esque.
Yeah.
Mertens over to Zakharova to reset the offense. Back up to McCoy. McCoy over to Georgia Gale. Georgia Gale looked like she was going to drive left-handed, but pulls it back out. Looks for the screen from Mayo. Mayo instantly covered back up by the defense and nowhere to go for Georgia Gale, so we'll come back the other way. Good defense from the Indians. They recognized the screen by CeCe Mayo and covered her up on the pick and roll, so Georgia Gale got stuck with the ball.
Yeah, that's where once upon a time, Rob Brown, we would have taken the ball and slung it off the hardest part of the opponent's body.
Yep.
Knocking it out of bounds, but you don't see much of that these days.
Here's Nesbitt with 2:55 showing on the clock. She'll reset the Indian offense now. That's Shayla Gardner back up to Nesbitt. Nesbitt looking for the pick. Steps back with the three. Off to the left. No good. Zakharova with the rebound. And she'll wait for the rest of her teammates to catch up. Shania Mertens now with the ball. Mertens looked like she was going to drive. Pulls it back up and resets. There's Georgia Gale cutting across the lane, and Gale's going to be fouled by Shayla Gardner. Took a little shot to the body after she beat Gardner to the rack. Looked like she was going to be able to take that ball right to the floor and cut back in across the lane, but Gardner gets her on the hip before she can, so Georgia Gale goes back to the stripe. Knocks down the front.
Looks like a little confusion there between the bench and Georgia Gale at the free throw line, but finally knocked down the front end of one, and we missed the back end. Still, what that puts us at 9 of 17.
Yep, almost exactly 9 of 18. 50% from the stripe.
That's not going to
get
one
of
done,
one every
Rob.
time you're there. There's a pick. Nesbitt's going to drive in and go up with the right hand. She can't get it to go again, and it finds its way into the hands of Georgia Gale. Nesbitt is struggling from layup territory. Zakharova for the three. No good, just off the glass. There's Elijah Shearer who checks in for her action. She's going to take it right back at the rim. Was looking for McCoy, but Nesbitt steps in the middle. Nesbitt's got about 76 steals so far. She gets the layup to go that time, and she's fouled. And there's Coach Walker out on the floor again, chirping at the official. Wanted a carry call on Nesbitt as she made her way into the lane, but he does not get it. And so Nesbitt's going to head to the stripe to try to get her third the old-fashioned way.
These officials getting an earful tonight.
And Coach Franklin and Coach Walker both displeased with the officiating so far in the first half and have been very happy to let the officials know just what they think about it as Nesbitt misses the free throw. That was the first free throw opportunity for the Indians tonight with 1:45 left to play in the first half. Jaden McCoy, one of the few players on this roster we have yet to see launch a three, as Anastasia Zakharova goes to the glass and is fouled on the way to the lane. That foul's going to be called against Anna Carolina Bernardo for the Indians.
Yeah, these whistles are getting a little bit of work here.
Dakiria Patterson, I apologize. That's number 21, Dakiria Patterson.
Missed another free throw.
Zakharova misses the front end of her couple from the charity stripe. Second opportunity. Count it. Hits the back end. Anastasia Zakharova, a sophomore guard from Moscow, Russia, standing 5'9".
We knocked down our free throws, Rob. This is not even a game right now.
Long three-pointer. Had the right arc and the right rotation, but it just would not go for Shayla Gardner. Georgia Gale gets the board. Up to Zakharova. And a double dribble called against Anastasia Zakharova over in the corner. She was looking inside for Jaden McCoy, which had been successful so far. Zakharova will head to the bench, and Gabriela Sales is going to check in, the freshman guard from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Approaching 1 minute left to play here in the first half. 23-17 your score in a game that hasn't necessarily felt that close, but as Jeff McDonald pointed out, 50% from the free throw line, 10 of 20, and shooting only 37.5% from the floor. It's been a struggle finding the can for the Raiders so far this evening as that rebound ends back up with Ariel Cummings, resets the offense, and that's going to be a travel called against Shayla Gardner. She tried to get that little stutter step to the right before she drove left, but the foot slid, and it's another turnover for the Indians, their 12th on the night.
Yeah, you'll notice Ariel Cummings, she's just getting all the boards she wants. We got to do a better job once again of just getting a body on her inside, getting her out of the paint so that we can get us some boards on the defensive end. Too many second shot opportunities for Chipola.
Shania Mertens dribbles into the lane, gets swarmed by Indian defenders, but takes a slap across the wrist in the process, so she'll head to the stripe for her bonus opportunity. 23-17 with 33.7 showing on the clock, and Mertens misses the front end, a story we've told quite a few times so far this evening.
You know, just watch really quick here.
Second one good.
Right, so if you notice, okay, the first one, you step up, as soon as you get the ball, you jack it up. Take your time. Take your time. You're knocking down the second one. Again, you've had a little bit more time to relax, but, you know, you got to take your time on this free throw line. A couple dribbles, bend the knees, relax, focus, knock it down.
Long range three is good. That's Shayla Gardner from over right in front of the Raider bench. 7 seconds on the clock here in the half. Georgia Gale's going to take it across the half-court line. She'll drive into the lane, go up with the left-hander, won't go, and Jaden McCoy misses the put-back layup. McCoy had nobody between her and glass and missed from point-blank range, so we will end with the Raiders in command 24-20 as we head into the half in what has been a well-contested first half, but as we talked about, Jeff McDonald, really shooting woes have been the problem so far. The Raiders 50% from the floor, less than 50% from the line. They've gone 1 for 1 in just about every trip they've taken to the stripe so far, and shooting less than 37% from the floor. It's just been hard to find the strings for the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, Rob, I know I sound like a broken record every time we step up to the free throw line, but it just absolutely drives me insane from a coach's perspective. You know, we're trained from the very beginning. I know I had a great coach here locally, Mike Russell, in middle school, and, you know, when we went through the process of shooting free throws, we took our time. You sit there, you spin it a couple times in your hands, you take a couple dribbles, bend your knees, take a deep breath, then you go up with it. And I think that's part of the issue here is that we go up to the line, maybe there's just not much of a process of taking a breath, taking your time, getting your breath back, and then up with the free throw. And then again, you saw there right at the end, Rob, another issue that we're having tonight is missed second chance opportunities from right under the basket, wide open. So
we are going to take just a minute as the sophomore men's players make their way onto the floor for sophomore night here at Northwest Florida State College. The men's sophomores will be introduced to the crowd at halftime of the women's game. The women's sophomores, the same thing will take place during the men's game later on this evening. So we'll take just a couple of minutes to allow our sophomores to be introduced and receive a little recognition from the crowd. We'll come back a few minutes before tip of the second half, run you through the stat sheet from the first half, and get you all set up for the second half of action of the women's game as Northwest Florida State College hosts Chipola College here at Raider Arena. Rob Brown, Jeff McDonald with you on the call here on Emerald Coast TV. We'll take a look at our sophomore men's players, come back with your stats in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching Raider basketball here on Emerald Coast TV.
Number 12, Brandon Bridges. Brandon is also registered to look to transfer before your school. to Northwest Florida for his redshirt sophomore season. Memphis Tennessee named him 17 points and ranks 9th in the nation in total assists with 79. Thank you, JV. Number 21,
A vacation you can count on. Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Okaloosa Island. Visit emeraldcoastfl.com.
This is where you live, learn, and play. Northwest Florida State College now offers a degree in hospitality and tourism, where you can train with a nationally recognized college in a globally recognized resort area. This is where you start building the foundation for your future. This is Northwest Florida, and the best is our standard. Visit bearaider.com to learn more.
Did you know Northwest Florida State College waives all state, college, and course fees for all active duty military tuition assistance students? NWF is committed to serving our military. Visit nwfsc.edu or call 850-678-5111 to learn more. Register today to design your future at Northwest Florida State College.
A vacation you can count on. Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Okaloosa Island. Visit emeraldcoastfl.com.
This is where you live, learn, and play. Northwest Florida State College now offers a degree in hospitality and tourism, where you can train with a nationally recognized college in a globally recognized resort area. This is where you start building the foundation for your future. This is Northwest Florida, and the best is our standard. Visit bearaider.com to learn more.
Did you know Northwest Florida State College waives all state, college, and course fees for all active duty military tuition assistance students? NWF is committed to serving our military. Visit nwfsc.edu or call 850-678-5111 to learn more. Register today to design your future at Northwest Florida State College.
A vacation you can count on. Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Okaloosa Island. Visit emeraldcoastfl.com.
This is where you live, learn, and play. Northwest Florida State College now offers a degree in hospitality and tourism, where you can train with a nationally recognized college in a globally recognized resort area. This is where you start building the foundation for your future. This is Northwest Florida, and the best is our standard. Visit bearaider.com to learn more.
Did you know Northwest Florida State College waives all state, college, and course fees for all active duty military tuition assistance students? NWF is committed to serving our military. Visit nwfsc.edu or call 850-678-5111 to learn more. Register today to design your future at Northwest Florida State College.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. A minute and a half away from the start of the second half, the women's game between Northwest Florida State College and Chipola College. I am Rob Brown. Jeff McDonald sits to my right here on the call this afternoon. Let's go ahead and look at some of the stats from back in the first half. The Lady Indians, 9 of 30 from the floor, 2 of 9 from behind the arc. Just one free throw attempted in the entire first half. It was missed by Valerie Nesbitt. Other than that, not a great night from the floor for the Lady Indians. 14 rebounds, however, 8 of them on the offensive side of the glass. 11 turnovers and 3 takeaways for the Lady Indians. On the other side of the ball, the Lady Raiders, 6 of 18 from the floor, 1 of 3 from behind the line, and 50% on 11 of 22 from the stripe. 19 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive side. They also turned the ball over 10 times, took it away only 3. So for the most part, Jeff McDonald, the statistics relatively even down the board. The major difference, 1 free throw attempted for the Indians, 22 of them attempted for the Lady Raiders. They are 50% on 11 of 22. It's real simple so far, Jeff McDonald. Start hitting your shots, you're going to have a much bigger lead than you have coming into this half.
I mean, you just rattled off all the stats, Rob, and I mean, I'm looking up at the scoreboard again, looking at the stats that we've got listed up there, 33.3% from the field for the Lady Raiders, 30% for Chipola, 50% from the line for our ladies. It's just not a great night from the floor, and the scoreboard shows it, 24-20, not a high-scoring first half, and we're doing a good job of keeping Chipola in the game with our lack of ability to knock down free throws so far.
Three-pointer launched and missed on that side of the ball by Zakaria Patterson. It's right into the waiting arms of the Raider defender, and the team in white gets their first possession of the second half. There's Georgia Gale up top alongside Shania Merton, Cece Mayo, Leandra Etchie, and Jade McCoy all get the start in the second half. Mayo just bodies down to the basket, but one-on-one with Ariel Cummings. As much as I love Cece Mayo down low, Cummings is a much bigger player and held her ground well there, and that is going to be a block out of bounds against the Indians. It'll be a Raider basketball.
Yeah, let's watch this inbounds play. We typically do a great job off the inbounds under the basket. There we go.
Little bounce pass to CeCe Mayo, who worked around the back of the Indian defense, comes straight down the paint, and Etchie just hits her on an easy little bounce pass for a deuce.
Yeah, you got to give Coach Walker some credit. He's crafted some nice inbound plays from under our basket, so good job.
Valerie Nesbitt working up top along Cortasia Sanders. Sanders flips it over to Cummings, who will drive against Jaden McCoy, and that's going to be an easy offensive call. You look for that arm to extend, and that's what Ariel Cummings did. Put her arm right into Jaden McCoy and just pushed off of it. That's an easy foul to call against number 41.
Yeah, that's going to be the third foul on her, and that's not good, being that you've already got number 22, Blessing. I'll let you pronounce her last name.
Blessing Iafor, the 6'5 sophomore, who has 4 fouls. So between the two tallest and most physical interior players, one of them has 4 fouls, one of them has 3, and Jaden McCoy has just been racking up the fouls down by the basket so far this evening.
Yeah, she has. Again, you know, she just does such a great job of getting position on offense and defense, and that was just her doing a great job moving her feet. I think probably frustrated Ariel Cummings a little bit. That's why she got that forearm up and into her chest.
Valerie Nesbitt fouls CeCe Mayo underneath, and Mayo knocks down the front end. Let's see if she can convert both, which would be a nice change of pace for the Raiders so far.
Yes.
It's both. Go. And the Raiders are plus 50% in the free throw statistic for the first time this evening.
It's a new half. Here we go.
And a floor foul is going to be called, I believe, against Leandra Etchie. That is correct. Etchie's got 3 fouls against her so far this evening. So we'll see if a substitution from Coach Walker. Not so far.
Yeah, Etchie's doing a great job of staying in front of her player that she's checking there, but just unfortunately got her arm in there, her hand in there, and got a piece of the arm.
Jaden McCoy gets her invitation to the block party and then goes down to the other end. It was a good move and a good look from CeCe Mayo and Leandra Etchie along with Shania Mertens. They drew the defense out of position, flipped it back around to McCoy. She went straight up at Ariel Cummings, draws the foul, and now Ariel Cummings and Blessing Iafor, the only 2 players on the roster over 6 foot for the Indians, are both in foul trouble. That is the 4th for Cummings, and McCoy knocks down the front end of her pair.
Yes.
I cannot tell you guys how excited Jeff McDonald is getting when these players are knocking down the first of the 2 free throws. McCoy's second delivery is also money, and the Raiders have now started 4 of 4 from the stripe in this half.
Love it. Love it. Free throws are huge. You know, you don't really think about them until the ball game's over and you look up at the scoreboard and realize you left 10, 12, 15 points on the floor. So good job. Great start to the second half, knocking down those free throws.
Etchie goes to the bench, and that is going to be a foul called against Jaden McCoy that I don't think anybody in the building is going to agree with. But number 24 is going to get hit with the shooting foul. That is Jaden's second on the evening. Etchie went to the bench, replaced by Anastasia Zakharova, who's getting extended minutes so far this evening.
Yeah, now, you know, I've been doing a good job of kind of biting my tongue, keeping my mouth shut about the officiating. But, you know, that one, I don't see it. I didn't see it. Did not look like a foul to me. She got her hand straight up. Just, again, I think they've gotten so used to blowing the whistle when the ball's inside the paint on either side of the floor, more so on, you know, down here when Chipola's on defense. But my goodness.
Cummings misses the first free throw, but does knock down the second one. And we've got I thought we had an inbound violation, but the official just resets the inbound. So here's Georgia Gale. Gale's going to drive down the right-hand side, looks inside, finds CeCe Mayo, and Mayo gets it to go. Georgia Gale, nice assist, drives the right-hand side, draws the defense to collapse around her on the block, throws the little wrap-around one-hand bounce pass, and CeCe Mayo finishes. That's a tough pass, and Georgia Gale threw it perfectly.
Yeah, beautiful pass. Great finish inside there by CeCe Mayo, and that's something we talked about, too, in the first half, Rob. We were struggling not just at the free throw line and on preventing the defensive boards, but also finishing strong inside the paint. So great start to the second half, doing a much better job in all three of those areas so far in the second half in just the first 2.5 minutes.
Knocking down free throws, the point-blank range shots are falling, which was not a guaranteed berth back in the first half. So the couple of things, like Jeff mentioned, the couple of things that weren't going right for the Raiders in the first half, they seem to have made a few adjustments in the locker room at halftime, and things going right now. That lead, which was hovering around 4 or 5 points for the majority of the first half, up to 11 after only a handful of minutes played here in the second half.
Rob, at the end of the day, it all really just boils down to good fundamentals. And these ladies are well coached. They don't really have an excuse not to play good fundamental basketball.
Foul called on the floor there. Going to go against Anastasia Zakharova, who's called for the hook on the defensive side.
My goodness. It's going to be a long second half, Rob.
And I'm with you. We do our best, I think, to kind of hold our tongue in terms of criticizing officiating, as another foul is going to be called by the backside referee. This one is going to go against Georgia Gale. That is Georgia Gale's second of the evening. A couple of these, I don't want to call them ticky-tack, Jeff McDonald, but from where we sit, in fairness, we are on the opposite side of the floor from where the ball's in possession right now, as the jumper will not go for Chipola. A couple of these come across as a little weak.
They're blowing the whistle for things that don't even resemble a foul, and then on this possession twice we see number 32 from Chipola. I mean, great hustle, working hard, Valerie Nesbitt, but my goodness, a clear reach and no whistle.
Shania Mertens is swarmed by a couple of defenders, but the foul is going to be called against Namiko Adams. And she was upset, got a relatively lengthy eye roll. That's a if looks could kill, she'd look like an Uzi right there kind of moment.
Oh, my goodness. Good stuff, Rob.
So that's a salt and pepper reference,
by the way.
Listen,
I'm proud of you for that one. That's strong and before your time. So, I mean, there's a lot of folks watching this broadcast that I hope they understood that and saw that too.
Georgia Gale's three won't go. She ends up with a rebound after Zakharova and Mertens bump into each other, chasing down the possession. Over to Jay McCoy, but a fresh shot clock. Georgia Gale's next look at a three. Book it, it's good! And the foul! Knocks down the three, celebrates with the team, and will head to the stripe for another one.
Yeah, that's going to be bad news for Chipola if Georgia gets going. Really, she's been fairly quiet in the first half, and right there, nothing's going to get you more pumped, get you going more than knocking down a three in that situation and going up and knocking down the free throw for a 4-point play.
4-point play for Georgia Gale. Missed her last three-point effort, but turned around, reset, shot another one, and gets all strings. There she is on defense on the other side, but a nice little move and drive to the basket from Cortasia Sanders, who gets the layup, lead down to 13. Here's Gale and Mertens working against the press up to Mayo. Mayo's going to swing it over to Zakharova for the layup, and Zakharova fouled by Cortasia Sanders as she went up to the basket. So Anastasia Zakharova will head to the stripe. Good transition basketball from the Lady Raiders there. Read the full court press, found the weakness, got it in the middle to Mayo. She draws the defense. She had Zakharova on the backside. Zakharova gets the foul and will head to the stripe. And a decent free throw shooter is Anastasia Zakharova.
Yeah, such a hot start to this third quarter. And there we go again.
Front end no good.
Hashtag pet peeve, Rob Brown. Drives me insane.
Zakharova looks like she has a cut to the wrist, a little bit of blood there, and a timeout's going to be called as they'll find a bandage or something to wrap around the wrist of Anastasia Zakharova. Substitution, Gabriella Sales is going to come on as Zakharova will go to the bench and get bandaged up, I assume. The coach is telling her you didn't need to check yourself out of the game. But Gabriella Sales will come in and finish the back end of this free throw effort on behalf of Anastasia Zakharova, who will head back to the locker room to get that wrist taken care of. Sales, a 6-foot freshman from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and she will knock down the back end. Here come the Indians on the fast break the other way, but Nesbitt thinks better of it. Pulls the ball back out to Dacaria Patterson. Patterson goes back into Nesbitt. Nesbitt working against Shania Mertens one-on-one, and Mertens is going to be called for the foul on the floor underneath the basket. No, it is going to be a shooting foul as Nesbitt kind of contorted her body to throw one up at the rack. I thought the foul was well before that, but the official will send Valerie Nesbitt to the line.
I can't help it.
The sigh of frustration is audible, Jeff McDonald.
I know. I mean, she did a great job moving her feet, staying in front of her. She did not. It looked like she had great position. And, again, I don't understand it.
Second foul against Shania Mertens on the day as Nesbitt knocks down both free throws. Back to a 12-point game now. Raiders in command with just under 6.5 left to play. Here's Mayo and Mertens. They've got help from Sales, Georgia Gale, and Awa Trossi who's checked in. Trossi can't get a handle on it, so back out to Gale on the reset. Georgia Gale's going to drive, collapse the defense, kicked it over to Sales. Sales in and gets a look at the left-hander, but she can't get it to go, but fights for the rebound, and we're going to have a foul called against Awa Trossi underneath in combat to try to get the offensive board. Trossi got just a little bit too physical underneath against Cortasia Sanders, and that's going to go the way of the Lady Raiders. Substitution is Zakharova now with a fresh black bandage around the right wrist will replace Gabriela Sales.
You know, you're getting limited minutes and you're getting into the ball game. You got to take advantage of that opportunity. Right under the basket, you got to knock that down.
And a tough left-handed go from Sales as that little jumper is no good for Blessing Iafor. Keep in mind, Iafor has 4 fouls on the evening, and a foul called now underneath. An arm check is going to go against number 32, Valerie Nesbitt. That is Nesbitt's second foul. Nesbitt keeping almost single-handedly keeping this team in contention. Of the 5 players on the floor for Chipola, only 2 have any points on the board. Cortasia Sanders has 6. Valerie Nesbitt has 11. Adams, Patterson, and Iafor, 0s across. First free throw is all strings for Shania Mertens. Knocks them both down. Shania Mertens clutch from the line. 39-25 your score. 5:47 on the clock. Indians working the ball around the perimeter, trying to find Nesbitt on the inside. Nesbitt against Mertens one-on-one. She'll kick it back out to the three-point line. Namiko Adams drives, and we're going to have an offensive turnover there by the Lady Indians. And we're starting to see a little frustration set in for the team in black. Mental mistakes the last couple of times down the floor, and now eyes are being cast down after every turnover as the Raiders are slowly building that lead, now up to 14.
Oh, heads up.
Cece Mayo up to Awa Trossi. Trossi pump faked the air, but ends up getting it to go anyway.
Just in case.
Awa Trossi resets after the defense collapser gets to go. There's a little runner blocked by Mertens, and Trossi on the board. Up to Mayo, but Mayo can't get the handle. Ball's on the floor, back to Trossi. Trossi kicked it to Georgia Gale for 3.
Boom.
Bucket! It's all strings. Number 1 for 3. And a timeout called. No, it was not called. The Raider offense thought that was a foul called. Cece Mayo came to the bench and was getting a little dance groove going on when Coach Walker said it's not a timeout. Get back on defense. We both thought that the timeout had gotten called by the Indian defense there.
Now here we are halfway through the third period, Rob Brown, and we've already scored 20 points. We've outscored ourselves almost for the entire first half here in the first 5 minutes of the second half. So far more efficient job by our ladies in this period so far.
Cortasia Sanders fires up a jumper from the stripe. It won't go no good. Instead, the foul is going to be called on Blessing Iafor, and that's her 5th. So an off-ball foul for number 22 is going to send the 6'5" sophomore from Ebony, Nigeria to the bench, and now they're down to just Ariel Cummings, the only center power forward left on the roster for Chipola. They do have Kamanyani Creonce from Goma Congo on the roster, but we have not seen number 50 check into the game for Chipola just yet as Awatrasi knocks down the first free throw.
Yeah, Rob, you got to have a little bit more discipline than that. Yeah, the officials have been blowing some whistles that, yeah, we question, don't make a lot of sense at times. But you know you've got 4 fouls. You got to be smart. You've got to stay away from anything that resembles a foul.
Yeah, it's tough to get caught on an off-ball foul that sends you to the bench for the rest of the contest.
Yeah, tough one.
So here's Nesbitt and her Indians back on the other side. Georgia Gale in an absolute battle with Takaria Patterson at the top of the key, and Georgia Gale is going to be called on the hold, which for the first time in the last handful of whistles, I actually agree with. Gale kind of had her arm wrapped up in the jersey of Patterson, and that's going to be a foul against Georgia Gale, her 3rd on the night with 4:37 left in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, we're going to want to keep an eye on that one there. But, yeah, she was almost asking for that one, but it's just turned into a pretty physical game here, so it's going to be tough to avoid. You just got to be smart.
First free throw is knocked down for Patterson.
I just want to mention we got some guests in the house tonight over here. If you haven't noticed as you're watching the broadcast, we've got the Megs cheerleaders from right down the road in Shalimar, Florida.
The alumni of yours truly, a Megs Wildcat.
Oh.
Many, many, many moons ago.
Long time ago, I'm sure.
Played my
what are you coming up on 40, Rob? 39?
No, bro.
40?
No, bro. Not even in your game yet, Jeff McDonald. It's the play ball under Coach Gaskin back at Megs, the master of the pivot foot.
Yeah, I love Coach Gaskin. Great man. I know the Gaskin family very well. Grew up with their daughter and went to church with that family at First Baptist Church there in Fort Walton Beach. Great folks. We've been blessed with great coaches on the middle school level, high school level here in our community for many years.
Anastasia Zakharova breaks through the press and resets. The Indians playing tenacious defense. Now, Cece Mayo wraps around to Awatrasi. She had a wide-open look at the basket and instead tried the wraparound pass to Awatrasi. Cece Mayo is going to get hit with a foul call there. That is her 4th now against Cece Mayo, so substitution likely upcoming. Jaden McCoy is going to check in and replace Cece the Spark Plug Mayo, who frustration clearly visible on the face of number 34 after that foul. She got caught on the foul after she completed the pass somehow.
That's one of those frustration fouls is what that is right after a turnover. Those are fairly frequent in the game, but, you know, on that last possession, I don't know why she didn't just go ahead and flip it up off the glass. She had a better look than she had a pass. So sometimes, again, we talked about this in the past, these ladies, they are so very unselfish, but sometimes you just got to take it, and that's one she should have shot.
Indians back in that full court press. Mertens back over to Trossi in the backcourt. She kicks it up to Sales. Sales was looking for McCoy, couldn't find her. She'll wrap it back up to Mertens, kicks it over to Zakharova, fakes the 3, drives to the inside, pulls it back out to McCoy. McCoy can't get the jumper to go, and it's rebounded by Lyric Turner. But Sales and Zakharova both with the swarming defense. Somehow the Indians escape, and they'll come back to the other side of the floor. Straight up against Jaden McCoy and Gabriella Sales for Lyric Turner. She goes down hard, and a takeaway from Valerie Nesbitt, another steal. Nesbitt is going to threaten double-digit steals on this game if the Lady Raiders aren't careful. She's got a handful of them so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I love her game. I know they're struggling here in the second half, but you got to love Nesbitt for her tenacity, her hustle, and she's certainly not giving up.
Mertens inside to McCoy on the inbound. They'll reset. McCoy in a battle with Ariel Cummings, and you got to think with Ariel Cummings having 4 fouls that the Lady Raiders are going to do everything they can to get McCoy the basketball one-on-one, see if they can't get number 41 out of the game, as the errant pass inside to Awatrasi is just out of reach of number 3 and ends up out of bounds for another turnover and a timeout called on the floor. So a couple of misfires on the last 2 possessions for the Raiders. You had the wraparound pass from Cece Mayo that more likely would have been a wide open layup that ends up in a foul and a turnover, sends Mayo to the bench with 4 fouls. That time down, the inbound pass was really good. Tried to find Awatrasi and just threw it just over her head and out of bounds. So This is one of those times that we've talked about. Granted, the lead is still at 15, but it was threatening to go on the better side of 20 just a few minutes ago. This is the point where if you're Coach Walker, you got to start telling the ladies, we need you to settle down, take everything back down to our tempo. Let's reestablish ourselves here.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. You're right. Just got to get under control, you know, and that pass was there. I mean, Trossie was open, just led her a little too much. Just got to get that under control. And I always love to see a bounce pass into the interior. You know that. That's just one of the things for me. It's one of those fundamental things that I love to see. But you could have led her a little bit better there. Would have been an easy layup.
10 of 38 from the floor are the Indians. They are 2 of 10 from the arc and 8 of 11 from the stripe. 15 rebounds, 8 of those on the offensive side of the glass. So the Lady Raiders done a good job in preventing second chance opportunities. The Lady Indians got a handful of second chance opportunities in the first half, 0 so far in the second half. They've also got 13 turnovers and 3 takeaways do the Lady Indians. 11 of 29 from the floor for the Raiders, 3 of 6 from deep. 20 of 32 from the stripe, 27 boards, 9 of them offensive, 11 turnovers, and 3 giveaways so far for the Lady Raiders, and that's where we stand statistically with inside of 3.5 left to play in the third quarter. And a foul's going to be called there against Gabriella Sales. She got beat running across the lane and ends up putting a hand on Takeria Patterson. That's the first against Sales, the Brazilian. First free throw offering is nothing but strings for Takeria Patterson.
Yeah, you know, we mentioned that in the first half that, you know, they shot 1 free throw. So far in the third period, Chipola has shot 12, now 13 free throws in the third period alone.
Trossie comes up with a rebound, is swarmed by Lyric Turner and Valerie Nesbitt both, and she ends up getting a foul called underneath the basket in the bonus. So Trossie is going to head to the stripe and give an offering to the basket. The foul called on the backside. That one's going to go against Nesbitt. That's her third foul of the evening. So now number 32 needs to start being careful. She's got a handful of steals so far, but another opportunity there sends Trossie to the stripe. Trossie's first offering is good.
Much better job so far in this half at the free throw line for the Lady Raiders.
Second free throw, no good. Long iron, but rebounded by Anastasia Zakharova, and we have got a jump ball. Possession arrow will stay with the Raiders. Good hustle from Anastasia Zakharova on the offensive rebound to keep the possession with the Raiders. The possession arrow will flip back to the Indians, but it does give another opportunity and a nearly refreshed shot clock. 28 seconds on the shot clock to the Raiders. Shania Mertens is just going to throw it out to Gabriella Sales up at the top of the key. Sales off the pick from Trossie. She gets the little bounce pass to McCoy. McCoy can't finish, but Trossie's there for the second chance opportunity, and she draws the foul. And if this is against Ariel Cummings, that means that the Lady Indians, and it is Ariel Cummings' 5th foul on the evening. We're making sure that's official with
34.
the scorekeeper. Nope, it's going to be on number 34. That is going to be Lyric Turner, her second of the evening. I thought that he put up the 41, the near side official, but he was facing the other way. So instead it'll be on Lyric Turner. Sends Trossie to the line. Trossie's second free throw is good. 47-31 now with 3 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Here's Nesbitt working against Mertens. Over to Patterson, who just fires one up, running through the lane. No foul called. Shania Mertens is going to bring the ball up the floor. Anastasia Zakharova was looking for the fast break, but it wasn't there for Mertens. She'll drive and pull it back up to the top of the key, over to Sales. Sales looking inside for McCoy. Gives it to Trossie at the elbow. Trossie drives with the left hand, but it won't go. Jaden McCoy gets the rebound, and a foul going to be called underneath the basket. That one will be on Ariel Cummings, number 41, and the crowd will wave goodbye to Ariel Cummings as she is fouled out of the game to be replaced by Anna Carolina Bernardo, the 5'11 freshman. And the two 5-spot players for the Indians have both fouled out. Blessing Iafor and Ariel Cummings, both on the bench with 5 fouls. Drossi knocks down the front end. Lead back up to 17 now for the Raiders. 23 of 37 after that effort from the free throw line. 36.7% from the floor and 50% from the line. As Drossi knocks down the back half, and the free throws a little more consistent in the second half than they were in the first.
Yeah, she's got that stroke back now.
You can almost feel that confidence coming back for the Lady Raiders. Second quarter kind of felt like it was getting away from them a little bit, but the confidence is now there, and that lead is just growing point by point as Valerie Nesbitt finds her way inside, goes up between a pair of defenders, and gets the point-blank range layup to go. Here's Meertens up to Zakharova. Zakharova is going to pull it back out to Awa Trossi. Trossi goes up and saves the ball, skips it over to Sales. Sales looking for McCoy. Can't find a passing lane. Look at that bounce pass to Trossi, but Trossi could not gain control of the ball, and the travel is going to be called in the lane. That was a really well-executed bounce pass from Gabriella Sales inside to Awa Trossi. McCoy collapsed the defense to the block. Trossi cut on the backside. Good pass, but the defense reestablished itself, and Trossi lost her momentum. Here's Lyric Turner working against Zakharova. Turner throws up the long jumper. It won't go. Meertens can't handle the offensive rebound. Out of bounds against the Raiders. It's a Indian basketball with the inbounds coming underneath their own rack. Inbound pass and a wild throw from Cortasia Sanders. Just kind of try to fall backwards and throw up a prayer that won't go. So here's Meertens, a minute and a half left to play in the third quarter. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Anastasia Zakharova looks inside to Awa Trossi, and we're going to have a battle. That foul's going to be called, it looks like, against Dakiria Patterson, and that is the call. As Awa Trossi was in a battle down low. Patterson wasn't looking at the basketball, which was probably the saving grace of Awa Trossi. Patterson facing the wrong way, almost like a football pass interference call. If you're not looking at the foul or at the ball, you're going to get the foul called.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough remainder of the half for these Lady Indians inside the paint. You know, having to deal with Awa Trossi and Jaden McCoy and CeCe Mayo when she's in the ball game, the way she flashes through the paint, the work she does inside there underneath the basket. So it's going to be tough for them without their two young ladies that have a great force inside the paint, you know, with Blessing Iafor and Ariel Cummings.
Awa Trossi has found a rhythm from the free throw line, knocks both of those down. There's Lyric Turner, 1:05 left to play in the third quarter. Valerie Nesbitt now back in command. Nesbitt's going to drive to the left, pull the ball back out. Skips through the lane but loses control. Meertens comes up with it, and she'll wait for the rest of her team to get set up. Here's Zakharova on the wing looking inside for Trossi.
Great pass.
That was a nice pass from Anastasia Zakharova. She saw Awa Trossi get position against Bernardo, but we know that spin move from Awa Trossi is kind of being her signature all year long, but that time just too much behind that elbow and got called on the elbow hook for the offensive foul. And a technical foul called, against the Raiders. Did not see it. Looks like that might have gone against Coach Walker, who was all the way out at the half-court line and on the floor. So that looks like it may have been against the coach. Now, both coaches have one technical in this game so far. Did not see Coach Walker. Seemed a little bit less animated than he did it multiple times back in the first half, Jeff, but gets the tech called anyway.
He's been working on it. It's you knew it was going to come eventually with these officials here tonight. They, you know, it's been I wouldn't call it a very well-called game so far, but, you know, I'm sitting over here with the microphone in front of me, and I'm not out there in a zebra shirt calling fouls. So hopefully they'll have, you know, some grace on me for how hard I am on them. But I do have an opinion, and a lot of times it does not agree with the Zebras. And so Coach Walker, I believe, maybe just needed to get that one off of his chest.
Takeria Patterson with the ball, working alongside Nesbitt and Lyric Turner up top. Cortasia Sanders is in there for the Indians as well. Patterson flips it back over to Sanders for the three-point effort, and it's good. Book it. Nope, that's a two-pointer. Had her foot on the line, so just two for Cortasia Sanders. Here's Anastasia Zakharova. She's going to beat the defense and kick it back out to Mertens. 13 seconds left on the game clock. No shot clock. Over to Gabriella Sales. 9 seconds on the clock. Sales is inside to Trossi. Trossi's going to hit that spin move and just cuts right through the defense for the right-handed layup. 1 second on the clock, and Nesbitt's going to throw a full-court shot that does not get off in time, but it doesn't matter. And that's going to do it for the third quarter. The momentum back fully in the Raiders' camp. They lead 53-36, and the third quarter much kinder to the Raiders than the first half was. The free throw shooting is there, Jeff McDonald. They've been knocking shots down from the floor. Much different story this half than the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, third period, we outscored ourselves for the entire first half. So great job, our ladies, getting in the groove here and getting this game moving in the right direction. Starting it at the defensive end, doing a better job on the boards, and also knocking down some shots and those free throws. So much better start to this half than what we saw in the first half.
And the Lady Raiders owning the paint on both sides of the basketball so far, preventing the offensive rebounds. Lots of second chance opportunities back in the first half for the Lady Indians. Not so much in the second half. Just one offensive rebound almost the entire third quarter that the Lady Raiders were just cleaning up the glass on both sides of the floor. The rebound totals were about 50-50 at the end of the half. Listen to it now. Doubled up. 32 rebounds for the Lady Raiders, 11 of them offensive, just 16 for the Lady Indians. I got to say, Jeff McDonald, that would be the one statistic I would point out that has been the game changer. The Lady Raiders are cleaning the glass right now, and it shows on the scoreboard.
Yeah, huge difference from the first half to now on the boards, doing a better job of getting a body on a body, preventing those offensive rebounds for the Indians, and also, again, like we said, doing a much better job at the free throw line. That period, I'd give that one to Alva Trossi. She did a great job of getting herself in good position, getting fouled, getting to the line, knocking them down, and on that last possession, just a great spin move, layup off the glass as well. So great period from Alva Trossi and a team effort to really kind of get us in a better position to finish strong in this ball game.
10 minutes of basketball left here at Raider Arena in the women's game. Of course, we will have all the action of the men's game against Chipola coming up immediately after on sophomore night, as a handful of players on both squads will finish their careers. Here's Anastasia Zakharova, speaking of sophomores, up to Jade McCoy. Around to Georgia Gale for the three. Oh, almost had it off the iron. Shania Mertens with a hustle offensive rebound, but she comes down on top of Anastasia Zakharova and can't handle the basketball, so it's going to roll out of bounds and go back to the Indians.
I try to will those balls through the hoop, Rob Brown. I'm calling bottom before it touches the rim, but it's hard to. When it comes off of George Gale's fingers, they always look so good, and you think it's going to fall, but got a little ahead of myself on that last one.
Valerie Nesbitt fouled hard on her way to the rack. That foul is going to go against Leandra Etchie, who makes her way back into the ball game. She's been out for quite a while. That is the fourth foul against Leandra Etchie, who came in to replace Anastasia Zakharova. Now it looks like Zakharova is going to make her way right back onto the floor as Etchie's got her fourth foul. Well, Zakharova will head back to the bench. So no substitution. Etchie will stay in with her 4 fouls. And the free throw efforts are good from Patterson. Come the Raiders, Shania Mertens. She's got Alva Trossi at midcourt helping her out. Kicks it over to Etchie. Etchie looking for McCoy inside and drives the lane. Foul's going to be called on the backside. An off-ball foul is going to be called against Anna Carolina Bernardo. That's the 4th for Bernardo as well. Bounce pass inside to McCoy, and it's going to get tied up. Good hustle there from the defender, Lyric Turner, able to get the ball in before McCoy could gain full control and possession. Possession arrow stays with the Indians.
/ Raiders.
Excuse me, with the Raiders. / Raiders. Thanks for the assist, J-Mac.
It's love here, Rob Brown. It's all love.
Awatrossi drives in, kicks it to McCoy for the right-handed layup, and it's good. There's the finish we've been looking for out of Jaden McCoy.
Yeah, it's just a huge mismatch under there right now with Trossi and McCoy. They're not going to be able to defend that inside.
Well, the hope right now for the Indians is going to be that these long-range shots start falling. That would no good for Cortasia Sanders. The other thing I've noticed, Jeff, this Lady Indians team is fine taking the long-range jumpers, but almost all of them are from less than a foot inside the three-point line. I mean, if you're going to launch that shot up, as we just saw out of Cortasia Sanders, take a step back and go for the three. Why would you take a 17.5-foot three-pointer, or excuse me, long two-pointer like that, as Merton's jumper won't go?
Yeah, you got to do a better job of knowing where you're at on the floor. And you're right, they have taken a lot of shots with just a step inside the line. And not that they would have made a huge difference here with where we're at so far tonight, but would have been helpful.
Now, at this point in the ball game, though, that's pretty much your one hope is Awatrossi's just going to spin and go right up and around Cortasia Sanders. Good move from number 4.
Yeah, she's just going to have her way in this period. There's just no one there to defend her. Can't hold her down.
Cortasia Sanders drives and goes up and under Awatrossi with the right hand and gets it to go.
Yeah, it wasn't bad defense there by Trossi. That was just a great shot.
Pass goes to the middle of the floor, and we have got a collision between Bernardo and Trossi. Both of them hit the deck hard, but the ball's going to be turned over. That full court press from the Indians. I'll give the Indians credit in terms of that defense. They've come out of that full court press a few times, and it's created some problems for the Lady Raiders.
Yeah, all in all, I think the Raiders have done a pretty good job breaking that press here in the third, in the third period so far now, but they have done a good job of every now and then forcing some turnovers.
Nesbitt hands it off to Turner, to Sanders, who goes right at the rack and ends up drawing the foul against Awatrossi, and that is Trossi's 5th foul. So Awatrossi has fouled out. She will head to the bench to a standing ovation from the Raiders fans on that side of the arena. 7:43 left to play. Awatrossi fouls out, replaced now by CeCe Mayo. She joins Georgia Gale, Shania Mertens, Leandra Etchie, and Jaden McCoy on the floor. Free throw from Cortasia Sanders is no good.
Yeah, look for CeCe Mayo to kind of have her way down there as well in this period, Rob, because, again, there's just no one down there that can stick Mayo, McCoy, and, of course, Trossi before she fouled out. But it's going to be a tough go for these Indians inside the paint. Great job breaking the press.
There's Georgia Gale. She'll drive. No need to launch up a three. She throws up the jumper. No good. Mertens there for the second chance, but just couldn't control it. I don't think she was expecting the angle that it took. That thing hit the rim and went straight down, and Mertens just couldn't get a handle on it.
2 hands. Got to have 2 hands on it, Rob Brown.
Nesbitt over to Turner. Over to Patterson. She'll drive and throws up the left-handed runner, but it won't go. Out of bounds, last touch by the Indians. Indians back in full court press. There's Etchie in the middle over to Georgia Gale. Gale's going to pull the ball back out and reset. She is in a double team there, and a timeout going to be called by the Raider bench to get Georgia Gale out of trouble. The press was broken effectively, but Gale almost tried to slow down the tempo once they got on this side of the floor, and the Indians just swarmed her. So a quick turnover called to prevent the or a quick timeout called to prevent the turnover with 7:04 left on the clock.
Yeah, that's when you got to start flashing to the ball. We got a few ladies that are just over there kind of standing still. Rob, want to take this opportunity to go ahead and recognize our Player of the week, number 24, Jaden McCoy, redshirt sophomore, plays center for us. Having a good ball game tonight. On the season, averaging 11.3 points and 6.3 rebounds. A very key contributor to the success of this Lady Raider program. They asked her a few questions. We love to go over these every week. And the first question is, what is your favorite TV show? Man, and she's taken a step back into the vault, and she said Friends. Not even a show of her age, but there she goes. She must be Netflix and that. Who are 3 people you'd like to have dinner with, past or present? Chris Hemsworth, who, reminds a lot of people of myself, Rob Brown.
Yeah, I can see the confusion there, Thor.
Jason Momoa. I mean, you kind of resemble Jason Momoa.
I mean, if it wasn't for the abs, the hair, the dark skin, the good looks, and the money, we'd be exactly
right
the same
there,
guy.
Though. And then J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame, I guess. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Right?
Look
Okay.
at you.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be? She would like to be invisible. Well, she doesn't do a very good job of that here on the court because she is very visible, always doing a great job making her presence known inside the painted rectangle. Do you have any hidden talents? She says she can sing. All right, well, we might have to hear a little taste of that tonight later on. What is the top item on your bucket list? And she said to travel the world with my other half. All right, so I guess that leaves me with a question, Rob Brown. Is she married already?
I'll let you interview her in the postgame. How's
I'm
that?
not going to know. Not asking that question. Maybe she's looking in the future. I don't know. But, hey, good stuff helping you get to know Miss Jaden McCoy a little bit better.
10 points, 4 rebounds for Jaden McCoy so far this evening. 6:39 left on the clock. The Indians in a full court press. Shania Mertens looking for McCoy on the inside. She'll reset up to Leandra Etchie. The Indians playing tenacious defense right now. They are just swarming the Raider basketball. There's Etchie over to the corner to Mayo. Mayo fakes the three and just takes it right to the rack and gets the kiss off the glass.
Yeah, not a very good job of closing out by the Chipola defense there on hello.
CC Mayo.
CC Mayo.
There you go.
Thanks.
It's only been 6 weeks, buddy.
Way to have my back,
That's
Rob.
what I'm here for.
Not a very good job closing out, and she just flies right by her for the easy layup. So, great job.
Nesbitt knocks down the three for the Indians. 59-46 now your score. Lead back down to 13. Get back up to Mayo. Mayo over to Mertens. Mertens is going to throw the little bounce pass inside to McCoy, but the hustle play goes to the ground as Bernardo and saves the ball from making it to Jaden McCoy. So we'll reset with 19 on the shot clock for the Raiders.
And I do apologize, CC Mayo. I know your name, baby girl. Great job.
Full timeout called by the Lady Indians to go regroup and regather with the Raiders holding on to most of the momentum, though the Indians have been successful their last couple of trips down. That big three knocked down by Nesbitt just a minute ago brings her to 20 points on the night, 11 out of Cortasia Sanders, your leading scorers for the Raiders. On the flip side, Georgia Gale with 14 and a pair of rebounds, 10 for McCoy. CC Mayo has 10 as well. Shania Mertens with 8. And surprisingly, for really who's been kind of the offensive leader all year long, just 1 point in the books for Leandra Etchie tonight, who's playing a really good support role this evening.
Absolutely. Great defensive game from her so far tonight. So, she's always going to find her way to contribute without a doubt. Doing a great job of leading that offense down the floor, breaking that press, so definitely making her presence felt. If it's not on the scoreboard, it's definitely in other ways. And there we go, a good shot of that Niceville Eagle band, the pride of Niceville, doing a great job like they do here every Saturday night, just keeping the crowd going. I just love having them here behind us and just adds so much to the atmosphere. So Niceville Eagles, we love you. Thank you for being here. And that's coming from a Big Green Indian, a Choctawhatchee High School Indian, Rob Brown. We love you, Niceville.
We've talked about, you and I have seen college basketball in a lot of places, and Ramsey Ross and Northwest Florida State College have done a really good job creating a very authentic college basketball feel here at Raider Arena. You got the pep band. The stands have really treated the Raider Arena faithful very, very well. I mean, it's as comfortable of a gym to watch basketball in as I've ever been in, and I've traveled around the country to do basketball games for a lot of big schools. This is a comfortable, enjoyable gym, and it's got that real college flavor to it. That's going to be a charge called against CeCe Mayo, and that is going to be CeCe's 5th of the game. She will join Awa Trossi, both who have fouled out now. So CeCe Mayo with her 5th on the charge call. She got the kick over into the corner, but just got carried away momentum-wise, and a charge taken by the Indians is going to send CeCe Mayo to the Pine, and that's where she'll finish this game. Gabriella Sales is going to check in to replace her.
Yeah, you know, we're sitting here, and I'm looking up at the scoreboard, Rob Brown, and it's a 13-point ball game with 5.5 minutes left. This game is far from over.
Far from over, and now you're missing 2 of your most important players with Trossi and Mayo both on the bench with 5 fouls. So the Raiders need to be very careful. What felt really 10, 15 minutes ago felt like we were on the way to almost a coast to victory to finish up the 4th quarter with 5 minutes left to play, and Cortasia Sanders throwing up a 3. The Lady Raiders need to be very careful. Don't start slipping away. Don't get careless. Don't think this thing is just coming to you as a W, because the Indians are not going to go away easy. Etchie over to Meertens. Meertens is going to dribble across half court and right into a press. She's going to find a way to get it to Sales. Gabriella Sales for 3. Strings for Gabriella Sales. The Brazilian makes the most of her most recent appearance. Knocks down a 3 right in front of the Raider bench.
Yeah, she was standing there for a while, wide open, just waiting for the ball. And Meertens, after getting in trouble, got her head up and finally saw her, gave her the ball, and knocked down 3.
Meertens ran the double team, threw a nice little pass, got the defense to collapse as Jaden McCoy hands out another invite to the block party. She's got 3 down there so far. Here's Gabriella Sales again. Sales kicks it over to Meertens. Meertens will pull it back up to reset the offense. Jaden McCoy working on Bernardo. She'll step out and take the ball outside the 3-point line.
Got to do something with it.
Puts the ball on the turf, gives it over to Sales. Sales to Gale. Gale to Meertens. Meertens back to Georgia Gale for the 3. Bucket! It's good for Georgia Gale.
Forget about it.
There's a handful of shooters, Jeff McDonald, and you and I, we've watched it, and this is true at every league, it's true at every level, that when they shoot a 3, you just assume it's good. You've got Tyree over on the men's side. When he steps outside the arc and he launches one up, you just feel like it's good. Georgia Gale is in that club, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of confidence when you see someone like, you know, Tyree or Trey Diggs and of course, Georgia Gale. When they go up, you automatically assume it's going down.
3:43 left to play. The Raiders on top 65-46. So it went from a 13-point game and feeling like the momentum was shifted to nearly a 20-point game in a matter of seconds, and that comes courtesy of Gabriella Sales knocking down that big 3 just a minute ago. And the momentum's clearly back to Northwest Florida State College with 3:43 left to play.
Sorry, I got a little distracted. Some dude just runs out of the tunnel and starts tumbling down the floor like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And then he just kind of walks off. Like, what's going on here, man?
He's back over with the Raider cheerleaders. He came out hoodie up and everything, man. The cargo shorts, rocking the hoodie. I don't know where that came from, but
you can't be doing that in cargo shorts.
I mean, we can't be doing it at all. He clearly can.
No, yeah, you're not going to see that from me, never. But my man's got skills. Reminds me of myself. Once upon a time. No, sorry.
All right, that's better. 17 of 40 from the floor. All right, the Raiders are 5 of 9 from outside the stripe after their Gabriella Sales long-range 3. 26 of 40 from the stripe. 38 rebounds, 13 of them offensive. Have held, listen to this, at the end of the first half, the Lady Indians had 8 offensive rebounds. With 3:43 left to play in the game, just 10 of them. So the only 2 issues we really looked at back in the first half for the Lady Raiders, they've really cleaned up.
No, absolutely, sure have. Here we are, 65 points in the ball game. We've almost doubled up our score from the first half, so major improvement in the second half. After the game, I have to get over there and get in front of Coach Walker for a minute, find out what they talked about at halftime, what made the difference, what kind of was the spark to see this change in the second half.
Georgia Gale with a nice pass to Gabriella Sales. Sales tries to find McCoy underneath, but McCoy was triple covered, and so it's a turnover, and there's a foul on the way to the basket. Lyric Turner was bonked hard right before she got to the rim, so Turner will head to the stripe for a couple now, and that foul is going to go against Gabriela Sales, her second of the game.
Yeah, Sales needs to do a better job just being a little bit more patient right there. You know, it's not there. It's not a clear path on that pass there to the basket. Hang on to that one. Set up the offense. Let's knock some more time off of this clock and send Chipola home with an L. And looks like she just got pulled out. Typically, when you turn the ball over, you come down and you're the one called for the foul. It means you're going to be checking in on the pine. But not a great series there for Miss Gale.
Jaden McCoy had the ball in her hands but lost the offensive rebound. Valerie Nesbitt ends up back with the basketball, but she steps out of bounds. An unforced mental error against the Indians. 3:23 left to go. Anastasia Zakharova has replaced Gabriela Sales. Here's Shania Mertens over to Zakharova. Indians in the full court press, and
wow,
a 10-second violation called against the Raiders. That is the first 10-second violation I think we've seen called all year, Jeff.
Yeah, I wasn't counting, but it seemed like a quick 10.
65-48, 3:10 left to play here in the ball game. Back to Patterson working against Georgia Gale. Patterson's just going to drive and go up with the left hand, gets it to go. Just drives right past Georgia Gale and gets the left-hand scoop. Full court press once again. Gale gives it up in the middle to Etchie, but the pass is too high, and it's taken back in by Cortasia Sanders. Another turnover. Sanders is going to go right at Zakharova. Zakharova blocked it. Sanders gets a second chance and misses. And there's Nesbitt. Nesbitt can't get the offensive rebound to go, and a foul is going to be called against the Indians. And that's really been a problem for Valerie Nesbitt all night long. She has earned the respect of this Lady Raider team. You can tell the hustle. They are swarming her when the ball goes up, but she's just missed multiple second chance opportunities tonight.
Yeah, she does such a great job of getting up and getting rebounds. At her size, getting in there and pulling down boards is quite a feat, but she does it. But yeah, it's a hard time getting up and getting that shot to fall in the face of the Giants inside the paint.
Andrea Atchie, Georgia Gale, Shania Mertens, Jaden McCoy, Anastasia Zakharova all on the floor right now for the Raiders. 2:10 left to play, 8 seconds on the shot clock. There's Georgia Gale. She'll drive to the short corner and put up the jumper. Gets it to go. All touch from Georgia Gale. Just kind of a little floater, really almost a layup the way she let that one go. She just kind of pushed it up in the air and let it hang up in the air for a second. As the long three is no good for Valerie Nesbitt. Nesbitt launches that one falling out of bounds. The foul's going to be called against Jaden McCoy.
Yeah, that shot from the short corner is not an easy one, and she pulled that one up off the dribble and knocked it down. Just such soft touch. Good shot.
1:47 left to play. That is the third foul on Jaden McCoy. It sounds Nesbitt back to the stripe. She's going to take her first effort and clanks it short off the iron. Nesbitt's second free throw is good, all strings. Cuts the lead back down to 16 with 1:47 on the clock. That full court press from the Indians back in place. Anastasia Zakharova is going to dribble around Numiko Adams, and Adams is going to be called with a slap on the wrist after getting beat off the dribble by Zakharova. Only 14 fouls in this half called against the Indians so far, so the Raiders are not in bonus as of yet. Georgia Gale up to Mertens. Mertens finds McCoy wide open underneath. McCoy can't finish the first one, but gets her own rebound and gets the putback.
Yeah, McCoy padding the rebounding stats right there, I believe. I'd like to see her knock down that first one, but good job. Way to follow up and knock down the second one. Valerie
Nesbitt drives right at the rack, but falls down and is called for a travel on the way there. 69-51, 1:23 left to play here in the playoff clinching, or excuse me, the postseason clinching game if the Raiders win this basketball game, they will be guaranteed a berth in the state tournament.
Good
Look at the
pass.
little gift. Mertens takes the ball, never even lands, and just hands it right over to Jaden McCoy for the point-blank range layup. And the Lady Raiders have built the lead back up to 20. A timeout called by Coach Walker. He'll call the short timeout to reestablish. 1:08 left on the clock. Everything was right in that last possession, Jeff. They found themselves in the trap. Shania Mertens just snuck around the back of the defense, cooked the ball in the air. When the defense collapsed on her, she just hands it to Jaden McCoy for the easy high-percentage layup.
Yeah, great job. You'll notice whenever we're doing a good job of breaking the press, one of the things that's key to breaking the press is diagonal passing. You know, penetrate or driving the basketball, looking diagonal for the open man, and they did a good job of that on that last possession.
Nesbitt goes up 1v1 on Shania Mertens and is able to get the fall-away jump shot to go. She gets it off the glass and good. Mertens has now fouled out of the game as well, so Trossi, Mayo, and Mertens all with 5 fouls, all on the bench. Inside of a minute left to go. Doesn't look like it will much matter, however. Gabriella Sales going to check back in to replace Shania Mertens as the layup is missed, but Nesbitt just grabs her on rebound. Back over into the corner. Nesbitt's going to launch up the three. In and out, no good. Elijah Shearer has checked into the basketball game for the Lady Raiders as well. 40 seconds on the clock. Here comes Leandra Etchie. She looks up to Sales. Inside, and the point-blank range layup is missed by Ariel Wilson. Wilson's first action of the game tonight. No tempo there. She goes too strong at the glass. Here we go the other way. Elijah Shearer is going to pull the ball back out. Hands it over to Gabriella Sales. 18 seconds on the clock. No shot clock. And the Lady Indians are happy to let the clock roll down to 0. The Lady Raiders have clinched a postseason berth in the state tournament with a 71-53 victory over Chipola. Excellent game, Jeff McDonald. Things were a little slow for the Lady Raiders back in the first half. Tail of 2 halves, though, as the second half, everything went right for Northwest Florida State College. Big win to send them into the state tournament.
Yes, absolutely. Great job in that second half by the Lady Raiders, knocking down free throws, open shots, and just can't say enough about the improvement from the first half to the second.
Not at all. We'll get your statistics going here in just a moment from now. Leandra Etchie finishes game with only 1 point, which if you've watched this team with any level of consistency this year, that's unusual. But she did a phenomenal job of playing a support role. Georgia Gale knocking down a couple of big shots as well. We'll send it over to Jeff McDonald. Here's got Coach Walker.
All right, we're here with Coach Bart Walker. Coach, what'd you tell them at halftime? Because it was a different-looking Lady Raiders basketball squad in the second half from the first.
I thought we was playing a little bit passive and not being aggressive, and that's what they do. We kind of let them bully us a little bit. So we just wanted to settle down, run our stuff. We really wanted to punch the ball inside. I thought we had an advantage there, and we got a lot of looks at the rim, which loosened up the outside for Georgia to push the shot.
Much better job also in the second half, Coach, at the free throw line and shooting the ball in the perimeter. I'm assuming you addressed that as well.
Very adamantly. You know, we really put an emphasis on free throw shooting in practice and extra shots. You know, and again, I think we was a little tight. And we loosened up a little bit. We saw some go in, and when you see a couple go in, it gets contagious. So I'm just so happy for these sophomores.
Absolutely. Great night, Coach. Great game. Good luck next week against Tallahassee. Back to you, Rob.
There you go. There's Jeff McDonald alongside head coach Bart Walker. Your post-game statistics, 20 of 45 from the floor went the Lady Raiders. They were 5 of 9 from behind the arc as well. 26 of 40 from the free throw line. Shot 50% back in the first half, picked it up, got a little lost back in the second half as well. 41 rebounds, 14 of them offensive, 18 turnovers, and 5 takeaways for the Lady Raiders as they get a big victory that, again, clinches a postseason berth and sends them into the state tournament. So congratulations to Coach Bart Walker and the girls. A great victory for them this evening. We'll get Jeff McDonald back on the mic here in just a second and get his post-game thoughts to wrap up. But like we mentioned and like Jeff talked about with Coach McDonald a second ago, a tale of two halves. Coach, Jeff, you asked the coach. We saw the free throw shooting much better in the second half than the first. Same with the perimeter shooting. You said, I assume that you addressed it, and his answer, quote, adamantly. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Coach Walker, man. He doesn't hold back. And obviously you could tell that halftime there was a talking to from Coach Bart Walker, because we certainly saw it was night and day in the second half from the first. Those ladies came out with a purpose, and they really took charge in the beginning of that third period and didn't slow down. So great second half, great win, great job by Coach Walker and his staff to get those ladies focused and directed and to finish strong here tonight.
Georgia Gale this evening, 4 of 6 from behind the stripe, 5 of 9 on the night, and 5 of 7 from the line. 19 points to go with an assist and 3 rebounds as well. So Georgia Gale with a big night this evening. We will see the ladies in action one more time on the 20th of February. They will be on the road at Tallahassee. And then March 6th through 9th, the FCSAA state tournament, which the ladies team qualified for this evening. Phenomenal game out of the Lady Raiders. Congratulations to Coach Walker and the entire Lady Raider team as they make their way into the playoffs. And Jeff McDonald, not only do they make their way into the playoffs, but they've got all the momentum behind them as they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look for them to have a strong showing. Hopefully we have a great ball game this week against Tallahassee, finish the regular season strong, and not slow down into the state tournament. I was just over there talking to some of our coaches from the men's squad and locked eyes with our man Trey Diggs. You know, the last couple weeks we've challenged him a little bit from his shooting behind the three-point arc. Tonight I threw up a 4, and I'm expecting at least 4 tonight from my man Trey Diggs. So, and some of the other guys started throwing up fingers like they're ready too. So, man, I look forward to a great game for our men tonight against these Chipola Indians here.
Absolutely. Big matchup this evening. Of course, last week the men clinched the Panhandle Conference 5 consecutive years that the Panhandle Conference Championship has resided here in Niceville. We're about 19 minutes away from tip-off of that game. We're going to take a real quick break. We'll come back, finish up with the ladies' stats, and get you all set for the men's tip as Northwest Florida State College hosts Chipola College here at Raider Arena in Niceville. RJ Murdoch and the cast of crew of Emerald Coast TV bringing you all of the action this evening. We'll have that tip for you when we come back in about 19 minutes. Jeff McDonald's here on color. My name is Rob Brown on play-by-play. Thanks for watching Raider basketball right here on Emerald Coast TV.
Yes, sir.